Hi, everyone. Welcome to Sit for Change. As always, we're your hosts, Tammy and Martine, here to bring you exciting conversations about making events more planet and people conscious.
And today we want to discuss what we rarely talk about being conscious of our planners' well being as well as our attendees.
Right. Event planning is one of the most stressful jobs in the world.
Let's face it, Tammy. We both know that event planners aren't just event planners. We're also producers, sometimes referees, and part time firefighters.
Seriously. And today we want to get real, like really real. No filters, no sugarcoating it.
Yep, we're talking about something that doesn't get nearly enough airtime burnout in the events industry.
Or, what we refer to as the times where we want to consider that moment about becoming a florist in the Alps with goats.
Oh, yeah, just me, Edelweiss, and no one asking me to circle back.
Gosh, sometimes having to say that phrase for the 10th time in a day really gets on my nerves. People just think we pick linen, sip cocktails, and post in glamorous venues, but it's also a lot of people management.
Exactly. On top of the fact that we're also at the loading dock at midnight moving crates, chasing a DJ who's 2 hours late, and trying to find a gluten free option in a town that thinks bread is a vegetable.
Yes, we admit that it's not all that bad, but it's a lot. And people only see the glitter, not the grind.
Right. I was running around like a headless chicken the day before the exhibition, and our star product, the one that was supposed to be the centerpiece of our booth, was stuck at customs. So there we were with absolutely nothing to display, just 24 hours before the doors opened. But of course, like as the planner, I had anticipated this kind of hiccup. So just to recap, the shipment was coming from France to Vietnam, and I had padded the timeline to account for potential delays at customs.
Oh, good.
It wasn't a surprise that the machine needed thorough documentation, right?
Mhm.
So our admin team handled all the necessary paperwork well ahead of time, and I had been following up every step of the way, of course. But here's the catch. Once customs decide they're not releasing your shipment, it really doesn't matter how well you planned. So all the approvals, follow-ups, and perfectly timed logistic mean nothing, but basically nothing when the goods are just sitting there somewhere behind a desk wrapped in a red tape.
Ugh.
Yeah, and so there we were, like a meticulously designed booth minus the product. Still glamorous? So, absolutely, if your idea of glamour involves panic, improvisation, and a lot of smiling through clenched teeth.
Oh my gosh. So what ended up happening? Did you get the product back or was it stuck at customs? I don't know what that process looks like to get something like that back.
Like you can call customs and try to figure out what happened, why they don't want to release it. But our
Yeah.
admin team was on that. They never released the product. We never got it. I think it was, if I remember well, like a 2 days exhibition. So I was just finding decoration, like flowers, all that thing to just put on the podium where you put the machine.
Yeah.
And then you discuss with the commercial team how we're gonna do without the actual product because they use that product to actually demonstrate exactly what
Yeah.
it is used for. But this time, yeah.
Oh my gosh. Oh, that's so stressful. Oh my gosh.
Mm,
It's honestly, I will say it's not just the stress from the event, right? It's also work-life balance. At my previous
right.
job, luckily I didn't have to deal with customs. But I was that person you mentioned earlier. I was at the loading dock packing up a pallet before an event in heels. Okay? Like it's dirty, dingy back there, and having to wrap this pallet and making sure it gets on the truck. So, yeah, like it's not all glamorous.
Oh my gosh. I bet you don't miss that. And in heels, how did you do that in heels? Like,
I
I
brought
can picture
sneakers.
you now.
I brought
Oh,
sneakers.
okay.
But sometimes I forgot my shoes, and yeah, I had to do it in heels. It was not fun. No. So, oh, no.
Oh.
I can't say that I missed that. So, but anyway, as I was saying, um, but I've never had to deal with customs per se, and fortunately, I don't particularly have any crazy stories like that. But I will say that I never forgot the time that I had to fly out to an event in Florida. And it was like the first day there. I just got there, and I was overseeing setup. AV team is bringing in all of the supplies, and I get a call that my dog is sick. And this is not another day at work where I can just like, hey, like call my manager, let you know I have to take the day to go leave the office and then take my dog to the vet. I'm in Florida, out of the state. And I had to coordinate with a friend to take my dog to the vet. I have to give them all the vet information. And then all at the same time, like on the phone with the vet, while AV is telling me the stage that they brought is too small. And they have to charge me extra labor costs to fix it and to get a bigger stage. Like, what is that?
Oh, that's too much. But I totally resonate with that, Tammy, because I mean, as a mom, it's so hard to be traveling for weeks and not being around for bedtime or special events at school. So traveling is nice. I won't say it's not, of course, but when you do it too much, it's so exhausting.
Absolutely. And event planners are often working many events at the same time, right? So
Mm,
burnout doesn't always show up like a red flag. Sometimes it's not feeling excited about a particular event or a project that you normally love and you would love to be working on.
yeah, totally true. Or also forgetting what sleep is. Like, also living off even cheese trays and Prosecco because who has time for real food when you're flying from event to event?
And when the adrenaline wears off, you're just left with receipts and an emotional hangover.
Oh my gosh, yeah, totally. I feel like I spent the whole night partying and drinking, and yeah, no, but not at
Without the
all. Just
fun
working.
of partying and drinking, right?
Exactly. So burnout could look like resenting also your clients, like dreading your inbox or crying in your car because the linens showed up in the wrong shade of Dusty Rose.
Been there. Beige trauma is real, especially when brand representation is all anyone cares about these days. And the
Mm.
worst part, you have to smile through it while you fix it, while people are yelling at you. And you have to be like, be
Oh,
the calm person.
that's true. We get told so often, you're so lucky to travel for work. But guys, we've been to 13 cities and seen zero sites, airports, storage closets, and buffet tables only.
Yeah, we've racked up thousands of miles that we don't even have personal time to use because we're already traveling from event to event. So by the time that we do have time off, we don't want to get on a plane. We just want to sit at home on the couch, eat cheese.
Oh, yeah, definitely. So here's the thing, we glamorize the hustle. Booked and busy is the badge of honor.
I agree. Whether we do it intentionally or not, I do think event planners pride themselves on being busy, especially for individual planners who have their own companies and
Mm.
they have to take on a lot of projects to make sure that they meet their bottom line. And because we're so good at it and we are so meticulous with planning and being able to do things simultaneously, I don't actually think that's a good thing to be like that. And to be constantly on the go, and I don't think priding yourself being busy is a good thing.
Mm, totally. And people who aren't in events or haven't planned an event really don't get it. And also, you have that thing like social media. It's just highlight reels. No one posting the photo of them hot gluing centerpieces at 2 a.m. with mascara tears.
It's because they don't have time. We barely have time to use the bathroom, let alone like pull out our phones to make a reel. What?
Oh, yeah. That's true. The pressure to always be on is huge. Like clients expect perfection while half the time thinking your job is so easy that they can just do it themselves sometimes and pay you less.
Yes.
Also, peers expect you to be killing it, and there's no room to say, hey, I'm not okay.
Yeah, yeah. Everyone else thinks that things are thriving. When they ask you how you're doing, you say busy, and they recognize what busy means, right? But not everyone knows like in reality that they're drowning. No one admits that they're drowning. And they
Mm.
talk about the experience, they talk about, the positives, like, oh my God, I just went to the Caymans and this event and blah, blah, blah. Like, oh my God, I just worked with this great photographer, etc. But as a planner, sometimes you don't take the time when you're talking to other people to say, like, gosh, I am really actually drowning and I'm not okay. And sometimes when you talk to an event planner, they'll and ask them how they've been, they'll say, like, oh, it's busy. I'm going to San Francisco next week, and then the week after I'm going to Georgia.
Yeah, but you know what? Sometimes I'm thinking that why we're not saying we're drowning because the other would say, "Oh, she's not capable of handling her job. She cannot do it." I feel it's a little bit like this, but
Yep.
and that's true that people will also respond saying that's so awesome that they might be jealous. But what they're not hearing is, gosh, I have to be on a 5 hour flight while I cannot sleep and get motion sick and go directly to the venue to set up right after I land while probably picking up McDonald's at the airport in between.
You're sounding like you're describing my trip back in April.
Yeah. And this is for our audience and also for ourselves. It's time we make room and time for ourselves. Because guess what? You can love your job, of course, but still need a damn break.
Yep.
So let's face it, this job is a high stakes, detail obsessed, emotionally charged sport.
We've said this before and we'll say it again. We're not just event planners. We're schedulers, designers, crisis managers, budget analysts, crowd controlled specialists, like emotional emotional support to humans, and so much more.
Oh, yeah. And we do it all live in real time, no redo, no pause button.
So no, it's not just the party. It's orchestrating a multi-department production under pressure with someone's entire career or life milestone on the line. Like, I don't know how wedding planners do it. I could never be a wedding planner.
That's true. And we need to start honoring that. This is skilled labor, it's physical, it's mental, it's emotional. Let me share a quick story from when I was working as a DMC in Argentina.
Yep.
So it was our peak season, and we got airstrike disrupted flights, forcing us to reschedule the trips for more than like 20 travelers at once.
Oh my gosh.
So, yeah, from one day to another, they announce you, okay, so tomorrow airstrike, so no flights. I'm like, what the? And it's high season, right? So it was a constant battle with the airline to ensure our customer could still enjoy their trip. So you have to call them, and then you need to check, okay, when is the next flight that you could put my customers on, blah, blah, blah. And the thing is, for many of those travelers, they saved their entire life just to go to Argentina, do the whole country. So of course, it's a trip of a lifetime. You don't want to mess up with that, and you want to do your best because you're
Yeah.
conscious about that.
Yeah.
So I had no sleep, was dealing with frustrated customers calling you at 5 in the morning. "Well, I'm not having my flight. What am I going to do? What are you going to do about this?" And to, and to top
Yeah.
it off. I understand them, right?
Yeah, we've been there,
I'm
right? Like,
trying.
yeah, we've all been on vacation where, like, our flight's delayed. You don't get to, like, you have excursions booked, like, and things go out of hand, and like, we took a week off for this, right? A lot of people don't have a lot of time
Yeah,
off, and to be able to take vacation, like, it's a lot. So it's super stressful when you're not able to deliver the experience that you want your guests to have.
yeah, exactly. But then just to top it off, I was pregnant at that time.
Oh my
And
gosh.
yeah, it was horrible. I think it was the worst time of my life. And
Oh.
I'll just never forget one day I was on the phone with the airline agent. I was crying. I couldn't stop crying, to be honest. I was barely speaking to that agent, and my colleague came from my back. He grabbed the phone. He was like, "If you don't resolve this now, we're going to have a premature baby on our
Oh my
hands. So do it now." And he just hang up. And I was like, okay. So of course now today I'm laughing about it, but I think that day it was totally hell, of course.
Oh my gosh. That's so stressful. I can't imagine doing this job being pregnant. So you're such an
Mm.
inspiration. Like, all working pregnant women are. Gosh, like, Ugh. But I will say again, I don't think I've definitely been fortunate to not have to deal with anything that chaotic yet. Because I've definitely heard stories. I've heard stories about and we'll talk about this, how important risk management plan is, because I've heard stories
Mm,
about how people were managing events on the day of 9/11, and people were managing
mm,
events, like during like a marathon crisis. So there's a lot of crazy things that people have told me about, and I fortunately have been fortunate to not have to deal with anything that crazy yet. But I think the biggest thing that I had to deal with, was canceling events due to the pandemic or the hurricane.
mm.
But I do also think this is one of the problems. I think after the pandemic, many in our industry are just grateful that they have a job.
That's true. And maybe we're going over because of this, like, okay, I still have my job today, so I'll just force myself to do even more.
Mhm.
But the pandemic was really hard for the event industry, like the tourism industry, like everyone. And I almost think that now that we experienced that, it's okay, we are almost desensitized to some of the stressful situations that would have caused major headaches for us before the pandemic, right?
Yeah, I do think that is part of the problem. I think event planners are so resilient, and I think
Mm.
over time they get more and more desensitized to the chaos. And people think that they're still getting things done and doing a good job, so it's okay, and they're okay, and like they can just handle more, and they keep piling on more.
Agreed. But it's not okay to be at the point of sleeping 4 hours a night and breaking down into tears for someone to hear you and understand that you're overwhelmed.
Or like most planners experience, which I know I do like once or twice a year, when your body just
Mm.
shuts down and you get seriously sick, because that is the only time you're actually going to be forced to actually stop and rest. But we don't want to get to that point, right, Martine? So
Mm.
I will say, in the next episode, we'll talk about some action items and things that you can do to be more conscious of this. Because I'm mindful about our time today, and I know I love this conversation. But we'll wrap part one up here, and then we'll resume
Mhm.
part two in 2 weeks.
Perfect.
As always, if you love this episode, don't forget to like and subscribe and hit that notification bell so you never miss out on one of our sustainability deep dives.
Thanks for sleeping with us, and we'll see you next time. Until then, keep making conscious choices, one sip at a time. Bye.
Bye.